I'm Chrissie Wilson. I'm voting Labour because Labour's got a magnificent manifesto, and particularly it's addressing the issues that women and children face. So I'm really pleased about that. About 8 years ago I started volunteering in a food bank, and it's interesting to see why people come to the food bank. Unfortunately, there are people coming to the food bank who are working, but they just don't have enough money. And one woman came the other day and I was really shocked. Her supervisor had forgotten to send her time sheets in, so she wasn't paid. She was weekly paid, so she had no money, she had no resources. And I think this is something that people don't understand, is that people who are living in poverty have no backup whatsoever. They've no money in the bank. If they've got a bank account, it's really, really difficult. And that's why we've got food banks, mainly because people have no resources. So I've noticed that that women particularly are bearing the brunt of austerity. 90% of the single parents in this country are women, and they're the ones who are finding it hardest. They've lost about a quarter of their income since 2010. And part of that is through the caps on benefits, on inflation, and they're just not able to keep up. And universal credit has been a major problem, particularly the gap between when people are so-called awarded it and when they actually receive any money. And they're falling into debt, they're losing their houses or their flats, because they can't pay their rent. It's a shocking situation, so we really, really need to do something about that. And what I've also noticed that around us all, the social fabric is just shredding. We're losing services that we women in particular really, really rely on to make our lives work, for our children, our families, our grandchildren, our partners. Unfortunately, council budgets have been cut by about 47% since 2010, and that's where our major source of support comes from those social services. So our localities are becoming impoverished. We're losing our libraries, we're losing our youth service, or we seem to have lost our youth service altogether. And the loss of this social infrastructure affects women in particular because of our caring responsibilities predominantly, trying to work, trying to look after a family at the same time. But having said all that, what I'm happy about is about Labour's manifesto. Labour's got a really good record around looking after the needs and the issues that women deal with. We're grateful to them for the Equal Pay Act, for the Sex Discrimination Act, for Sure Start, which was 1,000 Sure Start centres have been cut since the Tories came in. Also, we're particularly indebted to them for the Children's Fund and Every Child's Matters. So all those particular initiatives that supported children and their families. Our NHS is so precious to all of us, and we're losing it bit by bit. And I think people are beginning to notice now when they can't get appointments with their doctor, when they're finding that they're not eligible for knee surgery, when their operations have been cancelled or put back time and time again. So what's really good is, particularly, is the children's health strategy that Labour want to bring in. That's really important. Child health is so key, and it's been neglected. The other thing that I really love is the notion of a national care service, which will help to relieve pressure on our hospitals if people are getting proper care at home. One of the reasons why we don't have enough hospital beds is because not only because they've been cut, but because people can't get home even when they're better. The other thing for women in particular is the Women and Equalities Department that Labour want to set up. That's, again, something that tells me that Labour are really serious about women's issues and about addressing the discrimination that women still face. They want to end the gender pay gap, and let's hope we really get there this time. And a favourite policy of mine is the Social Justice Commission, which is actually going to be lodged in the Treasury. That's replacing the Social Mobility Initiative. So all in all, I'm delighted, and I think every woman, you vote in your interests, you vote Labour for your families and yourself.